This show is intended for mature audiences. Topics of adult content, triggers, and explicit language may be discussed with or without warning. All thoughts and opinions belong to our hosts and do not reflect the original creator's own intentions. Spoilers for the book will be discussed, and while most discussion will revolve around the picked book, we do not guarantee there will be no spoiler warnings for other books or series. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Biblio Madness, a podcast for book lovers where we discuss our current and favorite reads. I'm your host, Rachel.
And I'm your host, Laken. And today we will be welcoming you guys back with a long-awaited book that I have been dying for us to cover for ever since I've read it, really. We're going to be jumping into Fourth Wing, also known as the book that has taken everybody by, complete surprise, I feel like.
And my heart is broken, but
Yes.
It's fine.
So
welcome everybody from all the different platforms, YouTube, podcast, or Spotify, or Apple, or Google. I'm a little sad today because I decided to read this book in 2 days. And
she's fresh off the Fourth Wing.
My heart is broken in so many different parts that I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah.
So Laken has our guidelines for today, so I don't accidentally spoil anything because everything's so fresh in my heart. And I walked in here earlier to put the book back on my shelf after I finished the book, and my husband was in the room playing a game on the desk on his computer. And I went to put the book up, and he's like, "Are you okay? Was it a bad book?" And I said, "I'm fine. It was a good book. I'm calling Laken." And then I walked out of the room, storming off, and I'd tell you my feet were making the ground shake because I was angry.
I was looking forward to that phone call ever since you started this book.
It's been a day. Walked around town reading, went to a coffee shop and read in a car. I've read everywhere. Walking. I did not put this book down. It's 500 pages. Well worth all the time I've spent on it.
I do believe so.
But I don't know how I feel. So, where are we going?
So, for those of you that don't know, if you have not been around in the book talk scene or you have not heard or seen anybody else talk about it, Fourth Wing is about Violet. She's our main character, and it's about her as she goes through this war college for dragon riders. So she's training to become a dragon rider. And we kind of follow her through her first year through this war college, and the people she meets within her squad and her wing and all of this. That's kind of the very non-spoilerly overview of this book.
Yeah. We are going to try to avoid spoiling things as much as we can, because there's a lot, and I do mean a lot, that happens in this book.
A lot. As soon as you start this book, you find out that the author is not going to pull punches for it. I mean, within the first, maybe
chapter,
20, 30 pages in the first chapter,
second chapter,
one of the people we think is going to be Violet's friends, has a gruesome death.
So
there's lots of gruesome deaths in this. It's intense. It's lots of people die.
I will say this, comparatively, the way they die is not as gruesome as I thought it would be.
Okay, yeah, so it's not explaining
it's
a lot
just
of details. It's just, I would say,
awestruck. Awestruck. How
Game of Thrones kind of reminiscent of don't get attached to the characters.
Yeah. Because it's not that they die horrific deaths by any means. Hunger Games, I would say, made people die more horrific than in this book. But this book does not pull punches because death in this book feels so part of life. You could watch somebody die in 2 seconds, and you're like, all right, so what's for lunch?
Yeah, they do talk about this, and one of the things that is a saying is they say the first year you lose your life, and if you don't, the second year is where the rest of us lose our humanity.
Yeah,
because they're so desensitized to everyone around them.
Yeah,
their friends dying, and
it's so sad.
Everyone
dies, and everyone's like, all right. there's a new position open.
Yeah, there was one scene that I think of specifically further through the book where a guy gets his signet power, and this is kind of spoilery, but kind of not.
Oh.
And he's a mind reader, and like the professor just comes up and
yep,
and that's it. And everybody's like, okay, well, what are we doing with the rest of our day?
Well, they have so many. This book, the world it created is so different, and they follow so many different rules.
Yeah.
In their life following rules. So it's hard. It's hard to describe. So, before we dive into anything, I think we want to break it up into sections.
Yes.
Do we want to start off with book similarities? Where do you want to go?
We can talk about the similarities
before we dive into... Because we don't want to spoil the story. I want you to read it badly.
Yes, this is my 6-star read for the year.
Yeah.
Possibly my top read. We'll see how it ends at the end of the year, but so far, through this far of the year, it has been my top read. I highly recommend this book to everybody.
Yeah. I would give it 5 stars. I haven't given a book a 6-star.
Yeah, you haven't given one a 6-star. Maybe, we talked about maybe.
Maybe Crush, I think.
Yeah. So.
I would definitely give this book 5 stars. For sure. Maybe 5.5. I don't know if I'd give it 6 stars, but there is one flaw with this book that frustrated me very much so, and I told Laken this already, and it is not anything to do with the storytelling or the plot line. It is just due to my frustration as a human being that's not good with names.
Yeah, if you're a reader that is not good with names or character names especially, maybe like keep a notepad next to you. Write down the characters'
Highly
names.
recommend a notepad because I struggled hard.
Where this is like a war college, and a lot of times I feel like in the military you refer to people by their last names. Well, that's pulled from this, and she'll randomly refer to someone as their first and last, like separately, first and last name.
Yeah, and that goes along with a lot of public schools, because I wasn't public schooled, and I also have bad, like my short term is bad, so when it comes to books, it's long term for them, it's months for them, but for me it's like a few pages, and that, plus the dyslexia, all those things combined creates a nightmare for me.
My only thing was the dragon name pronunciations.
I don't even care about, like, that's my thing. I don't care about pronouncing name. I don't care. I see a formation of letters and that ties my brain to a character. I don't need to know the pronunciation of their name.
Yeah,
I can go with anything.
She told me, she texted me like midday today and was like, by the way, I still don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. This is the main guy.
I didn't care. Because his name just reflects the emotions in his personality, so I didn't care.
Oh, gosh.
Because, like, visually, this is a weird thing to say, but visually, his symbols of his name, what I know with the alphabet, I just programmed into that person.
Yeah.
Versus pronouncing the name, because with dyslexia, it's, like, pronunciation's hard across the board. And then with short-term memory, when they switch the names on you, is a nightmare for that part.
I'm going to have to
keep
make
a notebook.
Diagram for the next
I'm going to ask. I will beg. I'm like, I need you to write down everybody's name. And their last name, because some parts I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
I had to reread it like 3 times.
I'm definitely going to have to do a reread of this before November when Iron Flame comes out.
I am not rereading this book for a hot second.
It's been like 4 months for me, so...
It's been like 2 hours for me.
I know, it's crazy.
Not even that.
I cannot imagine doing this in the emotional state that you are in. So in other words, we were talking about what books this is reminiscent of. We had mentioned the Game of Thrones already, Hunger Games.
Yeah. Divergent, I feel like.
Divergent's a big one.
Because in this book, they have different quadrants, which we didn't really talk about. Mm-hmm. Or what did they call them?
So there's the Healer's Quadrant, the Scribe Quadrant.
Look at me.
The Writer's Quadrant.
Healers.
I already said Healers. And then there's...
3.
There's 4.
What's the 4th?
It's a quadrant.
Oh, the military.
Yeah, it's just like the base army.
Yeah, infirm, it's something with an I.
Infantry.
Yes, there it is.
Yeah, the infantry quadrant. So there's 4 of them.
See, guys, I don't pronounce words. I just see letters and go, oh, I know what that is. I don't have to say it out loud. I don't read out loud in my brain. I don't know if you use a voice monologue when you read. I don't have one of those.
Really?
I just see letters.
This is
and words.
This is gonna get way too psychological because
This is
that's
why
really bending my mind.
Japanese is really good for me when I see it, because it's just
Oh.
symbols and I remember those.
That's nice. That must be nice.
Yeah. You have an inner monologue, don't you?
I do.
Look at you.
Very much so. I'd be Poppy level annoying without my inner monologue. Okay. Was there another one that we talked about?
Divergent. I said Hudson, but that was just because of the inside mind thing that happens in this with dragons and their riders. Because Hudson was stuck in Grace's mind, and I was like, I've not seen this done before, and you were like, Loki
yeah.
have.
Well, yeah.
Well, you didn't say anything, but you did.
A lot of the bonds or mates or whatever.
Everybody
have mind-speaking powers.
Everybody can talk to each other through their minds, and I'm like, I want that with Caleb. That'd be great.
That'd be nice.
I would love to know what he's thinking.
No more miscommunication.
That would be great. We hate the miscommunication trope, so it'd be really nice to have less miscommunication. The ability to just read somebody's mind, be like, I already know what you're thinking. Shut up. Bad idea. Don't do that.
Oh man.
So yeah, Hunger Games, Divergent. I would say Blood and Ash, because the romance.
The love interest and the love story kind of has.
It's very similar.
From Blood and Ash feels.
It's
the banter is reminiscent of it.
The plot line as well.
Yeah, kind of.
Of the romance is very similar.
Yeah.
The plot line, also the plot line of the politics is very similar.
A little, yeah, I can see that. Maybe without so much of the
less of the chosen one, but
less
because this is more human based, but it's very similar to the like politics.
Yeah, that's another thing about this book is that it's not actually like a high fantasy, even though like it is an incredibly well done fantasy. It's just got humans.
It's just a creature fantasy, is what I would call it. It's less
humans and dragons, and that's pretty much the only.
It's less paranormal and more just because fairies are paranormal, or like in that quadrant of.
I guess, yeah.
What's the word? Well, like paranormal would be like vampires and werewolves and gargoyles, supernatural paranormal world. It's more of just creature world. So like dragons are real and griffins are real, which I'm hoping phoenixes are real. But that's a hope.
That'd be super cool.
I would love to just see someone come with a phoenix.
Yeah.
I will say Violet does give very strong Game of Thrones vibes.
Yeah.
Very strong.
I love Violet.
Game of Thrones is also like humans and dragons.
Yeah, I know that she's
kind
of like she does not remind me of Dany, but like that kind of
similarities.
Yeah,
they have similar hair.
They have similar hair. Yeah. So we were talking about Violet, who is our main character. Kind of, we can lead in from that into talking about the characters in this book.
Yeah.
So as you heard now, fresh off the press from this book, what are your thoughts on the characters? Like the character building.
Don't get attached. I have cried today. Don't get attached.
I feel like you don't cry easily at books either.
I don't.
I do. So
I do
me
not.
saying that I cried in it does not mean much.
I can name 2 books that I've cried at. 2.
One of them is this
one. One of them is this. Yeah, one of them is this one. The other was Finnick.
Yeah. She called me and told me it was a WTF moment.
That was the only 2 books I've ever physically cried at. I think the only other one that I can kind of think that I might have cried at was Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover.
Gosh.
Because that scene in Ugly Love wrecked me. We have a podcast on that book. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it.
Yeah.
But that one, I think I cried at. So maybe 3 books. Finnick, Ugly Love, and now this.
I feel like one of the reasons that it's able to give you that factor, though, is how much you quickly learn to come to care for the characters, and especially that character in particular. I'm not going to say which character it is, because spoilers.
Yeah,
and this is a
very
huge
big spoilers.
spoiler, so...
I will say, I actually can't even say what I want to say, because it will spoil it, so I will tell, like, after the podcast.
After we're done recording.
Yeah.
I already had to vent for, like, a full hour about this book.
Yeah, you had to vent. I have to breathe.
Oh, man.
I just got off the last chapter, which, might I say, cliffhanger, but...
Yeah, this giant cliffhanger. We cannot wait till November.
I'm dying inside.
I have, like... I know so many of the people that have read this, and me included, are like, you know, how can we wait till November? That's such a long time to wait. But then I remembered that like most authors do not put out 2 books in 1 year, and that the fact she has published both of them this year
You say
is
that?
insane.
Tracy Wolf?
Yeah, she's one of those.
She
But,
put
like,
out 6
I have
in a
been
course of
waiting for
2 years.
Crescent City 3 for over a year and a half now. That is insane. So every time I'm
Sarah J. Maas
ungrateful,
takes a time with her books. And I love Sarah J. Maas.
honestly,
I do.
the
But
amount of brain energy she has spent in her series, I can kind
Yeah.
of see it. But so yeah, the thing with the characters, they feel very realistic almost, and I don't know, it adds a sense of I don't know what's the word, gravity to the situations, because we know that the author does not pull punches,
Yeah.
and that she is not afraid to.
do you want to know what
offer
I thought
characters.
of this book
Please tell
when
me.
it came with characters? All right, so I have a very intellectual, logical thinking process for books. I do. And I was reading this book, and when it came to characters and the whole like percentages of deaths, like I knew
Yeah.
it wasn't gonna pull punches after the first two chapters.
Yeah, they
The
talk
first death-
heavily about how much people die.
Death was so constant. And the thing about this is crazy to me about the quadrant for writers is that so many are willing to go. Some get punished to go there,
Yeah.
but so many are willing to go. And the fact that so many are willing to chance it for like the rank or the ability.
Yeah.
But all of these characters are so either self-absorbent.
Yeah, like they're so cocky and
They're
arrogant
so
about
they
it.
they think they're the main character.
Yeah.
Constantly throughout the whole thought process, and that leads into like humanity and goes into the psychology part of it, where everyone thinks they're like, oh well, I could do it. Like I'm watching like what's his name, Tom. What's the actor's name who does all of his stunts for Mission
Cruise?
Impossible?
Cruise?
Yeah, Tom Cruise. Like Tom Cruise scaling the mountainside on Mission Impossible episode, I think it was 3, and everybody's like, "Well, I could do it," and I'm like, "No, you couldn't.
Yeah.
No, you couldn't."
I definitely have those moments. Not that I actually am like delusional enough to think that I could, but I have those
Yeah.
moments when people make stuff look easy, and I'm like, I could do that.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, no, you could not.
No, but all of these people are so delusional that they're so important that the dragons will choose them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the ignorance that kills you. Because you're not important, and the dragons don't mate or like bond with somebody.
I thought that was a super cool point from this book.
That's not.
Is that the dragons were like intelligent enough to like
pull out the snarkiness.
Yeah,
and
they don't like it. Like if you don't like,
I'm
so self-absorbed and like
yeah. I was surprised that
up.
Jack.
Oh, that he got bonded.
Same. I was very surprised.
Really hoping he would get barbecued.
And I don't even like. I was like, I don't even care about your dragon.
I think
because your dragon made a bad choice.
Yeah, I think it's mainly just because of the fact that he was a strong like.
He was ruthless.
He was ruthless, and some of the dragons they even mentioned that like that characteristic.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't. So this whole book is geared around weakness.
Yeah.
And being like a bad trait, you know, and the dragons would kill people that they thought that were weak. The entire process of this college is to weed out the weaklings.
Yeah. Which weakness comes in different forms. And I feel
Yeah.
like with humans, especially the fact that these were humans.
These are humans. These aren't like a supernatural race of creatures. These are just
humans. In the fact that not only is weakness like body strength, agility, mental strength, like all of those things, it's also strength and character.
Yeah, strength of character is a big one. And I think that's the reason that Violet didn't get barbecued from the dragon.
I don't think she got barbecued because she had the strength of character, because she did not think she deserved it.
No.
She was very humble in who she was.
I love Violet so much. This book is great for chronic illness representation as well, because Violet, our main character, deals with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I don't know if I pronounced that right. EDS. And so the whole book, she is physically weak.
Yeah.
And it
she's
hinders
frail.
her a lot, but she never lets it slow her down. And like her mental like fortitude to keep going through it. I don't know. It was.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I loved her.
I liked her character a lot. It was one female character that I did like a lot. I did like that she went back to the scribe part of her.
That, I think, one of the most ingenious ways of wrapping world building into her story.
Yeah.
So Violet was going to be a scribe.
Yes.
For those of you that have not read, and Rebecca Yarros weaves her world building in through Violet's point of view.
Yeah.
Because Violet, when she is nervous or anything, it's her coping mechanism to recite knowledge.
Which, as a reader, holy crap, was I eating that up?
I was too.
Because I was like, oh!
You're learning so much about the world building and like the world and the politics and history, but it's not bogged down.
As well as I was ignoring this at first, and I had to go back and read them, but this is important if you're first time reading her books. Do not skip over the paraphrases before the chapter.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, the little snippets at the beginning of each chapter are very important.
Those are very, very important, and I skipped over the first few and went back and read them. And I was like, I missed a lot, because those are
everything
very
you see on
those
the
are
page.
words. It's like, that's world building right there in the top part.
I enjoyed that a lot. There's a book Mistborn. I was like, the book I'm reading right now has that. Yeah, don't skip anything that you see on the page. All of it is important.
Yeah, it's
There's so much
so
foreshadowing and like intriguing play like in this book.
Speaking of writing style, I know we're kind of bouncing everywhere. Yeah. I told you I'm very emotional right now. We're just going with the vibes. But her writing style also very fast paced, just like Tracy Wolf's.
Yeah, this book,
and it's the same publishers, which means the editors might be similar, which means they might have pushed for that kind of pacing. It's addicting. It's an addicting pacing.
One thing I've told everybody about this book is that it has the joking that it has crack in the pages, because it sucks you in, and I don't know, just something about it, like it was I don't know.
It was a very well written and well paced book.
It was very well paced.
And it makes me, because we found Tracy Wolf, and I love Tracy, it makes me feel like that. Yeah. What's it called? That publisher. Yeah. Has some very good hidden gems.
Yeah, Red Tower Publishing. I've not actually read much from them.
I haven't either.
We just talked about their newest release as well, because we were curious about that.
I'm trying to see if I have any other books on my shelf that are by them besides Tracy and Rebecca. And I don't think I don't have anything.
Yeah. Another thing to point out with this is Rebecca Yarros' like fantasy debut.
Yeah.
Because she was, I think, primarily a romance novelist beforehand.
She didn't have a lot of great hits before this book.
No, this book has propelled her up and through. Like,
yeah.
This is her I can't remember what it's called. Oh well.
It's okay.
Whatever the fancy French word is for masterpiece.
Oh. Della something with it's a D. I don't know.
I don't care.
It's fine. It's late, guys. We're filming late.
Yeah, we are filming late.
I had to finish the book, and I got sick over the week. So
I didn't even know what this book was when I first picked it up. I picked it up because I'm jealous. One of the lucky ones, and I got, for those of you that can see, and those of you can't, I got the stenciled edges. And I didn't realize that this was a limited like thing they were doing. There's never going to be any more made.
Let me just say, I've already told Laken that if she finds special books, that she is not allowed to get them without telling me.
I didn't even think about it because I picked it up before I even saw it. I'm not mad. Just because of the pretty dragons.
I'm not mad.
Then I read it, and then I realized that it was like incredible, and then I saw it blowing up on TikTok, and by the time I had told you
it was
to go buy it, it was sold out everywhere.
It was too late. I had to order it.
It was gone.
But I'm just saying, this is important. If you see books that have special things to them, they're probably incredible. That's why when you were like, I got this book and it has this like really pretty inside, I was like, I'm buying.
See, I learned from my mistake.
I was like, I'm buying that now. I don't. Is it $50? Okay.
I'm an aesthetic book buyer. If it's pretty and I know nothing about it, chances are I will still buy it.
Yeah, like that's fine. Aesthetics is fine. I'm here for it. Because most of the time it will be a great book. Because a lot of the times publishers will not put something fancy on a bad book.
Yeah, this is true.
It just doesn't happen.
Yeah. So, with all of that being said, one of the things on the cover, it even says that it's an addictive fantasy, and I would say that is like the best word for it.
Yeah.
It's addictive. I have not stopped thinking about this book. It's become quite literally my entire personality since I've read it. I can shut up about it now to you a little bit because you've read it.
I did read it. I will say I've read a lot of books this year, but I loved it. It was great. And I love Xander. Now that I know how to say his name. Zayden? I don't even freaking know anymore. I want to add R's to everything. That's a bad characteristic for me, but Zayden, I love Zayden so much. I do. I love him. He's almost like him and Cass for me are very they're very tight.
Yeah.
Rye's not up there for me.
That's really sad.
I think it's the violent part of them. Violence.
Zayden is like the bridge between Rhysand and Castiel.
Cass likes violence a little too much.
Cass still does.
Cass has been stabbed quite a few times. But we like that. But Zayden is human. You can't stab him and he'll just magically heal.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen with him.
I'm really glad Violet didn't decide to stab him when she found out the truth. Poppy.
Oh.
Can I say that I panicked when... This is completely off the rails. I've definitely panicked when Poppy stabbed Cass.
Oh, I did not at all. No.
Well, because they said bloodstone to the heart is what killed him. And then...
Dude's too powerful.
He's just on a different level.
Cass is a different level. Cass, if you like violent kinks...
Yeah, read From Blood and Ash.
Just go read that book. Ignore Poppy.
Knife play is your thing.
Just ignore her. She's annoying. Get past it. You're just there for Castiel. I just want a book about him. It's fine. I know.
I haven't even read that yet.
I have it. I have it right here. And I'm very tempted to read that next.
You have to read the others because he comes back to... It's a replay of events from, like, current
I
past.
know. But I really want to read. Okay, on a different note, I'm not going to think about all the books I have to read. If I keep knocking them out like this, I'll be fine.
Yeah, I know. We're doing great. This is really great for our TBRs. Gives us an excuse to get through them. Oh, man.
All right, so besides the fact that we've said the books that are similar, we've talked about characters a little bit and the writing style. Going back to the actual world, there's a lot of flyer die. It is a lot of death. If you do not like death, and that's something you're
this
just
is not for you.
No, don't read this. But it is awe-inspiring to see the main character grow throughout this book in the world that she's given, when this is not what she wants at all. She is like us. She just wants to read books. It's like if one of us got thrown in to this situation.
Yeah, she wasn't really given a choice to join the Writers' Quadrant, which she just wanted to be a scribe, which is like the librarians.
Yeah, just like book people. They're historians, basically, is what they're called.
Is a better word.
Which this book does have a line in it that I will find in your copy while you continue talking.
Is you talking about the historians, like
the dad,
like the keepers of like real knowledge or whatever?
Or no.
I know the line you're thinking of. I just can't.
It's always my favorite line, and my favorite line in Crave is very similar to the line that was said in here. History is always written by the winner. But this one says, in the hands of knowledge, it can be rewritten by whoever holds it.
Yeah, which is a good,
which scares me because of America.
Yeah, it really made me think about it because our current modern histories, we can't tell what actually happened because of the way they were written.
Everything's written to...
Which, as you find out in this book, that was a hint, that was foreshadowing to something else, something bigger. What was I saying before this?
We were talking about,
about
Violet.
And another thing that they had talked about with the Writers' Quadrant, and what made Violet's journey so interesting, is because she didn't originally want to start out being a writer. She wanted to be a scribe. And the big thing with the writers is that you have to want to join them. They don't just let people be forced into it unless they're the rebellion kids or whatever. That's their punishment. They don't really have a choice. So yeah, there's a lot of politics in I'm excited for the next one because I think it's going to be even more.
I will say from a politics point of view, this did have like a lot of politics in it throughout the whole thing, and I did enjoy that a lot because I am a politic heroine.
I think we're going to love Iron Flame.
I love
it's
politics.
Heavy on that.
I can't find the letter. Is your letter not written in a different font? There it is.
There's many letters written.
I gotta find it in the one part. No, there's not. There's like 5. There's 4. There's 4 letters.
Oh, letters? I
letters.
You were talking about stuff written.
Letters in the book.
Oh. Oh yeah, because she found a letter.
It will only take one desperate generation to change history and even erase it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was remember that folklore is passed from one generation to the next to teach us about our past. If we lose it, we lose the links to our past. It only takes one desperate generation to change history, even erase it.
Yeah.
And that is, everything is so much about manipulation. And this leads to of politics, of the mass population. Same thing with From Blood and Ash.
Oh yeah, that was very reminiscent of that.
All of them has the same freaking similarity.
The brainwashing of
their
public.
Same thing with Hunger Games. Same thing with Divergent. Same thing with the Maze Runner.
Honestly, I think that's scarier than anything else in these books. It's the fact that you can have a whole populace that you've brainwashed.
And that's always my favorite line in these books, is when they say that, because that's what's happening in today's in reality. That's what's happening in a lot of places. Scary. And then that leads us to the part of what happens when we meet, like what happens if somebody meets their Cass or Xandon or anyone that's like, hey,
eye-opening to the truth.
Everything that you've been taught is wrong.
It's all a lie.
It's all a lie.
Yeah.
And that's what's like scary to me, especially with these books. I'm like, that's like, whew. All right. What if the good guy is the bad guy and the bad guy is actually the good guy? That is one of
like my favorite tropes, though, is that not all good guys are what they seem, and not all bad guys are what they seem.
This goes into a very like theological part of me, and like I could talk to Laken about this off camera because I don't want to bring theological things into podcast land. But it opens your eyes to so many things, and I'm like, oh
yeah.
We're not cussing. Just
oh schnitzel.
Oh schnitzel. But I don't know. This book had so much character building, and it made me feel so much. It had me. There's so many different feelings that I went through, like roller coaster of being on edge to being like, oh my god, romance to being, oh my god, the action to heartbreaking to surprise. It was a freaking roller coaster.
It is a giant roller coaster of emotion. There's a lot that happens in this book.
Yeah. We could not sit here and try to describe everything that happens, nor could we describe the world that Rebecca beautifully wrote and built.
This is definitely a book you have to experience on your own. So we're just kind of talking about our overall impressions of it.
And my impressions is you need like 3 days after to just stare at a wall.
Yep, this is a stare at the wall and just think about things after you finish the book.
I told Laken was when I was reading in a car at one point for like, I read in this car for like 2 hours, just sitting in a vehicle reading with no music, nothing playing, just in a car with the door open reading. And I walked out and I stood up and I was like, I don't remember how to stand.
Your feet don't feel like they're on solid ground.
And I was looking around the world and I was like, I don't feel like this is real. Like I've been hallucinating at the tattoo shavings of a tree for 2 hours now.
Yep.
None of this feels real. I was like, I have been dealing with like death-defying odds, and I walk out and I'm just like, I don't know how to stand.
It's always strange when you lose yourself in a high-stakes fantasy, and you come back to real life and you're just like, oh, everything is really
like
chill
I have to go to work tomorrow. That doesn't feel real. And like I was walking around town while reading this book. Let me tell you, that's a whole trip on its own. If you're gonna reread, just come over here and walk in the loop in my neighborhood. There's no cars here. It will make you go like, oh, or just find the sidewalk. There's no cars on the sidewalk. Just walk down sidewalks in your town and read this book while walking, especially during the parapet or whatever it's called. Yeah, walk while reading that.
A whole different level. gosh.
is a time. Because I was walking on, like, the curb of
Yeah.
my road in my neighborhood while going through that scene.
Yeah.
And I was like, ah!
I'm gonna fall!
Because I was reading while doing it. So I was like, ah!
That's funny. Oh, man.
It's a fun thing to do, to add in some extra hype to your high fantasy books.
What is it, like VR or something?
Yeah.
To really put yourself in
because you're hallucinating while you're staring at this book. Don't lie to me. Everybody who's read a book, you're in that world. So when you're doing things physically that are similar to that book, which a lot of people just sit and read.
Right.
I'm like, take it to the next level. Go on a walk.
Next level. Next, we're gonna be I don't know, sword fighting or something while we read.
Holding a book and sword fighting. It'd be fun. It'd be fun.
That'd be a challenge.
But like, I don't know. It was some fun things I did in the past 48 hours while reading this book. Don't judge me.
Good to know. I'm not judging.
I restarted too because I had already started this book. I was like, no. We're going back to the
full
beginning.
Experience.
I was like, if I'm gonna do this, it's just 100 and some pages that I was at. I was like, let's just start back over.
That may sound like a lot to you guys. To go 100 pages in. 100 pages in, and this book is nothing. Like I forgot how much happens in the first 100 pages.
I won't lie. I've been reading 700 page books, 800 page books if you go from Blood and Ash. This was only 500. Caleb's like, you're gonna read that, and like by Sunday.
Don't underestimate my power.
And I was like, yes. I hope you do not expect anything from me until I am done reading this book. Yeah. So that is all I did was read, and it was well worth it.
I wish I could do that so badly.
I don't have kids, so it's a lot easier, and especially on weekends when I don't work.
That's how I read the Throne of Glass series, though. When Rowan was a newborn, literally all I did was just read the books.
Yeah,
all day long.
It's a fun time. If you've never done a 24-hour read or like a 48-hour read, because I'm not gonna lie, I didn't start reading until like 12 p.m. yesterday and did not finish reading until 6 p.m. today. And I slept for a few hours.
Yeah. So
24. Around 24.
That's
plus a little more of just reading.
That's impressive.
And like I ate a few. I was eating and reading, by the way. And let me say, today my food was very similar to what they would have because all I've eaten today was 2 chicken wings, like grilled, like a full chicken.
Yeah.
I had leftovers from Cheddar's, and it was like their full chicken, so it was like the bone-in chicken, and it was a roasted chicken. So it was like I was like sitting in a bowl just picking chicken off while flipping pages in this book.
I will say, anytime I eat like a whole chicken or like bird or something, or I eat like a stew with bread, it instantly makes me travel back to a fantasy book, and I'm like, I am not here on this plane.
Nope. I was reading while I was eating this. So I don't know. It's been a fun weekend. Definitely worth it. Highly recommend finding. They have these everywhere now. Not this special version like Laken's, but they do have Fourth Wing.
Yeah.
Everywhere. It's stocked on all of the shelves. Yeah. It's everywhere.
Definitely go buy it.
If you haven't already.
It now before November 7th when
Iron Flame
comes out.
Because of her, I pre-ordered Iron Flame Special Edition before even reading Fourth Wing.
Yeah, she bought it before she even read the first one. That's how big my influence is.
Yeah, her influence was very strong. She highly recommended this book.
Oh, it did. I still highly recommend it.
It's a good book.
Yep.
It's very good.
So, we've kind of touched on the writing style, the characters, and a little bit of the themes. I feel like the themes through this book, being, like we said, strengths and weaknesses are always what they seem. There's another one here that says the human spirit.
Yeah.
Which I feel like, I forgot to mention this in our trope episode. One of my favorite tropes or like themes in a book is the indomitable human spirit. Which is like, that you keep getting back up after things. Yeah. It's just a good theme, a good trope.
I would agree. She was very relentless.
Yes, and the resilience is another thing. I feel like that comes.
And the camaraderie too with the squad mates.
The camaraderie, you kind of get a little bit of the found family feel.
Also, a lot of toxic
Yeah, there's a lot of
It's a lot of humanity coming through on people, like back to what Hunger Games did with making the tributes fight against each other. It's seeing how quickly the survival instincts kick in.
Yeah, there's a point in this book. It's not really spoilery. It says that it is against the rules technically to kill off another rider, but it is not like stopped and not even necessarily frowned upon for them to take out the weakest link in their squad, their wing, whatever.
Yeah.
Because again, weakness is essentially
Frowned
a
upon.
death sentence, and very, very highly like frowned upon in this.
They also have a lot of rules with the codex. They have their rules are called the codex, and the codex there's rules like you can't kill a team like any cadet when they're sleeping.
Yeah, you can't kill anybody
Period.
in their sleep.
You can't kill somebody
in their sleep.
Kind of
makes sense, if they can't defend themselves.
And you can't kill a fellow squad mate, but somebody outside of your squad can kill you. And a lot of the times you couldn't kill somebody unless they were on a map or in a game or in a challenge.
Yeah. There's some weird like loophole rules that they can get around to make this happen. So
there's also, and this I don't know if you remember, with a situation that happens, if you as a candidate or student or part of the league, no matter what, according to the codex, if you challenge the authenticness or the reliability of another, or like
are you talking about the honesty?
Yeah, if you challenge like what happened in the book with
because that happened.
Yeah, if you challenge someone else and it turns out that they didn't do what you said they did, if they if they broke one of the rules of the codex and you said they broke one of the rules of the codex and you officially state that, if it finds out they did, they're executed. If it finds out that they didn't break the codex, then you're executed.
Yeah.
So placing blame on another squad mate or another person at the college is a death sentence for someone.
I kind of forgot about that point, but that's true. That was an intense scene.
Rules are very important in their world.
They even
and
say
that goes back to the politic part of if you are controlling a population to believe a narrative.
Yeah.
Creating rules.
The rules. They're very heavy on the rules.
Creates that situation.
I think even said, one of the characters tells Violet at the very beginning that she needs to read the codex before doing anything, and she's like, I've already read it. Because, of course, Miss Scribe Girl.
But we learned the codex rules, and those are, again, in the paragraphs above the book chapter. So do not forget to read those, because that is where you learn a lot of the codex rules.
Yeah, like I said, she has been very masterful in weaving in subtly her world building through that, the little excerpts at top, the book that her brother wrote, based in the codex, about surviving the Rider Squadron, great world building stuff, and then her narrative of like reciting things.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where her sister lands in the situation.
I am too.
And I think she'll side.
I really hope,
but I don't know because she is a very big rule follower.
It can go either way, I think.
Yep. It is very up in the air on where her sister goes. We're good. All right, so going into where we think the next book, Iron Flame. We are going to be touching Iron Flame. So, just to give you guys a little overview of the plot line for our podcast uploads, because we haven't talked about it in a hot second. October, spooky month. We're going into our spooky reads. We were going to be taking a break from the Crave series. I know we have Court, Charm, and Cherish left. That we need to go over. We'll talk about those. They're coming back, I promise. We're just taking a little breakies because it's October and it's time for spooky reads. We're going to do spooky reads. Then November's going to come.
Yes.
We're going to start kicking back into the Crave series. Finish it out. And then we are also most likely going to be talking about Iron Flame.
You can
as soon as we get it.
As soon as I get that book, that's all I'm doing for a couple of days.
Let's see if I can do it again. Make that 24, 12 hours.
I'm about to be out of commission for the next couple of days as well, because a book I have highly anticipated is coming out tomorrow.
Oh, dang.
Fragile Threads of Power comes out tomorrow.
Maybe I need to make a trip to or I'll send Caleb.
I'm going. I'll pick you up one.
Because I need something. But I love spooky books, I do, but I can't read spooky books at night, which means that I need a night book, so I gotta go back into my fantasy land where it's safe at night.
You can go through Darker Shades of Magic.
That's what I was thinking.
It's this is completely like interjecting into this episode.
Sorry, guys.
Darker Shade of Magic is an excellent entry point to fantasy. If you do not read a lot of fantasy but you want to get into it, I think it's a great entry into it because it is very easily digestible. Everything is very easy to understand. The world building is it's fantastic, but it's not like super complex to the point it's not understandable.
So through October, Spooky Reads. November, finishing Tracy Wolf's Crave series, doing Iron Flame, and then December we will do a Christmas books.
Yes, the cozy, comfy,
the cozy happy Christmas happy books. So that is the layout for the rest of the year. If anyone has any other suggestions that they would like us to replace something with, let us know. If you have any spooky suggestions, please let us know ASAP because we need some more spooky reads. And if you get something before like the last week of October, let us know. Because we do already have some books set up, but we we could make some adjustments depending because there is a month to read it before we have to post.
Yeah.
But that is the outline right now that we have going. I'm very excited for Iron Flame, but going into that, theories on where the next book is leading us to after Fourth Wing. We're going to do this spoiler free. Again, we are avoiding spoilers. We want you to read the book. So.
Yeah. I really do think we're going to get more into the political sense. I am curious to see which side Violet goes on. Because with the cliffhanger and the last few scenes that we get within Fourth Wing, as unspoilerly as I can say it, Violet's whole, like, reality is shaken.
Yeah.
And basically she has to pick a side now.
She did. She did pick a side.
She did. But
it might have changed.
She still has to go back to her life.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how she's going to do that with all of the things we know and the characters, especially one said character that has an ability to look into memories. I'm really curious as to how she's going to figure out and navigate going through this with she has basically, what is the word that when spies have knowledge or something and it's like incredibly...
It's classified?
Yeah, she has like highly classified information right now.
For a different league. But my curiosity for this, without trying to spoil anything, is how they're going to get back to where they were with the decision that he had to make without something terrible happening immediately when they get back.
That's the big question I have as well. And so, for those of you that have already read it, or who are going to read it, you're going to read it as soon as I send it to you. Rebecca Yarros released an excerpt from Iron Flame to kind of like, get everybody excited for it and prepped up. And I am even more confused as to what is happening right now because of that excerpt and because of going, like you said, going back to what we previously knew.
Yeah.
Considering what we know now.
It's very, very strange.
I feel a very, what did we just read? Covet situation of Hudson graduating and immediately being arrested.
Yeah.
Kind of situation.
But that book went through the next part.
Yes, it did. I don't know if anybody has seen it or if you have seen it. The comparison of Iron Flame to Fourth Wing. Iron Flame is thick. It has got some chunk to it. It is a lot bigger.
It's okay. Fourth Wing. This was only 500 pages. What is it? 800?
Yeah, it's probably...
It's fine.
It's like... I don't know, a good bigger.
It's fine. Like,
I'm excited.
I honestly don't care. Book sizes don't scare me anymore.
Me either. I mean, we are not intimidated by a lengthy book.
I like a short book. It makes me feel accomplished. But, like, I read this in 2 days.
Yeah, that's impressive. Like, under 2 days with what
under
the
2
math
days.
we just did.
Yeah.
So,
So, I don't know. I'm not mad. Like, I can do it.
I could get lost in this world for forever. So, I am not mad at all about it being
Is it 6 books that are coming out for the series?
I can't remember if she said there's... I want to say 5.
That's an odd number. I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
5 is an okay number to me.
I'm an even number girl.
Yeah.
Don't leave, like, if it's not a trilogy, it has to be even.
Let me look up real quick.
It needs, like, don't leave me at 5. That's weird. 4 is also weird.
Really? Oh, 4 is a weird one. How many books to Period. Series.
Okay.
5 books.
5?
5 books.
Weird decisions, but alright.
Sometimes, though, when series are this successful, they can sometimes get, like, an extension.
That's true.
So we might get 6 books, who knows? Or we might get something more spin-off. I'm really excited for this world. For this being her debut into the fantasy world, I think it's magnificent. I love it. I love it so much. You should have written fantasy sooner, Rebecca.
Would have picked that career up a lot faster. I don't know. I'm very excited to see what happens. I'm going to make Caleb read it. That's what I'm doing.
My husband read it currently as well.
Caleb's still reading Mistborn, though, by Brandon Sanders. So
I need to talk to him about that. I told my buddy read with him, and I've not talked to him at all.
No, he. I think he's probably, now that we're doing this, finished the Songs of Ballad.
Oh, yeah.
But he's had Mistborn in his car, and he was reading it while he was working, but now he's able to read it at home.
Sweet.
So I think he's like 100 pages in or more.
Nice.
Which is
150.
good for him, because it takes...
That's okay.
He's a slower reader,
it's
which
okay.
is not any by means bad.
My husband is a slow reader too, which is why he doesn't like reading. And
How far is Ryan in Fourth Wing?
11 pages. It's okay. We're proud of the progress my husband has made.
I love you, Ryan. I'm not laughing at all.
He read for like an hour or two, and he's a slow reader. He doesn't.
We'll talk about that off camera. It's fine. All right. So if you haven't already, go grab Fourth Ring. Go pick it up. Be on the train wagon for Iron Flame. I think they might still be accepting pre-orders for Iron Flame if you want sprayed edges.
I think so. And there's going to be a ton of like
special editions.
There's a ton of like midnight release parties and stuff happening with it. There's a lot of anticipation for this book. So read it before November.
Yeah, definitely pick up Fourth Wing before November. You guys got a month to read it. I did it in like 14 hours.
Or,
you guys got
or save yourself the heartache and read it the week it comes out. So then you can just go to the store and buy it.
Let me just tell you guys. I was wrecked emotionally at the end of this book.
The last 100 pages are intense.
It's not only the last 100 pages, it was mostly the last, like, 20 pages that wrecked me. So,
the wrecking happened.
20 pages of this book went from me being completely okay to being in tears.
Yeah.
So, with that said, if you do not want to be in that kind of pain,
don't read the last bit of this book in public.
Yeah, don't read the last 50 pages in public. You're gonna cry, and if you don't, I don't know if you have a soul. But the last 50 pages are just like, if you have to wait, if you're like, I get Iron Flame in like 3 days, wait. I strongly encourage you. I know it might be hard because the book's addicting. Just wait and do your heart a favor.
I so badly, if I could, I immediately would have opened the next book if I had it. So it's one of those books.
I wouldn't have called you.
I know, it would have just went right into the next one.
I would have just continued reading,
which is what I did with Craving Crush.
I did too.
I immediately went into Crush.
I did too. I did with Covet as well, and so is Court.
Yeah. So.
Which you didn't have Court to go into.
I did not have it immediately.
Sad day.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps up our.
I do. I think that's everything for everyone.
Shebang.
For this podcast episode, it was spoiler free. Normally we go a little bit more in depth with the book, but I feel like it's wrong to do so. This book's not been out long enough to spoil it fully.
No, it has not been out long enough, and also it's so much, like we said, so much happens in it that it's impossible to
It's
really
like Crush. We did a 2-hour episode on that, and we did spoil a lot of stuff.
We did talk heavily about this,
but
in that though.
That book came out 3 years ago.
Yeah.
There was more time to read it for readers than this.
This literally just came out at the beginning of this year, so.
All right, so fly or die. That's your option. Everybody have a great night, great day, great morning. I don't know what time you're watching this or listening. We will catch you on the next episode. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow to share our world of books and love for all of the authors in the worlds that are created. I don't think I have anything else to say, so farewell from my side.
Yep. I think that's pretty much it for me, too.
Now I'm going to say bye.
Yep, and goodbye to everyone. We'll see you in the next episode.
As